Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Dang Good Show. I'm your host, Christine Dang, and today we're diving into a topic that hits home for many of us, change. Whether it's good, bad, or somewhere in between, change is inevitable. But what if I told you that the very changes that scare us the most are the ones that can lead to the most growth? That's right. Today, we're talking about embracing change and turning that fear into an opportunity for growth. Before we jump into it, I want to share a personal story that really shaped my perspective on change and how I learned to not only accept it, but also to thrive in it. You know, I've always been someone who loved routine. I loved knowing what's going to happen next, having a plan and sticking to it. But life as we know it doesn't always go according to plan. It was during one of the biggest changes in my life that I learned this lesson the hard way. Several years ago, I took a trip to Seoul, South Korea. Now, this wasn't just any trip. It was a huge step outside of my comfort zone. I didn't know the language. I didn't know anyone there, and it was my first time traveling so far away from home. To say I was scared was an understatement. The fear of the unknown was almost paralyzing, but I had made a commitment to myself. I was going to embrace this change, no matter how terrifying it felt. Those 4 months in Seoul were some of the most challenging yet rewarding times of my life. I remember walking through the streets of a brand new city, trying to make sense of signs I couldn't read, and navigating the subway system with nothing but a basic map and a lot of determination. Every day felt like an adventure, but also a test of my resilience. But here's the thing. Through all the fear, the uncertainty, and the moments where I thought I couldn't do it, I discovered something incredible. I found joy in the process of discovery. The more I allowed myself to be curious instead of fearful, the more I began to love the experience. I grew to appreciate the beauty of not knowing, of learning something new every day, and of pushing myself beyond what I thought I was capable of. That trip taught me that change, no matter how scary, is an essential part of growth. And more importantly, it taught me that curiosity is the key to overcoming fear. Whenever I felt that familiar knot of anxiety in my stomach, I would remind myself to be curious. What could I learn from this experience? What new perspective could I gain? And that shift in mindset made all the difference. Let's talk a bit about why change is so scary for many of us. It's natural to fear the unknown. Our brains are wired to seek out patterns and predictability because it makes us feel safe. When we're faced with a situation that disrupts our routine or challenges our comfort zone, our immediate reaction is often fear or resistance. But here's the thing. Staying in our comfort zone may feel safe, but it's also limiting. It's in the discomfort, the uncertainty, and the challenge that we find the opportunity to grow. Think about it. When was the last time you truly grew as a person while everything in your life stayed the same? Growth comes from being stretched, from facing challenges, and from pushing ourselves beyond what we thought was possible. There's a powerful quote by John C. Maxwell that says, "Change is inevitable. Growth is optional." Change is going to happen whether we like it or not. But how we respond to that change, that's where the real power lies. We can choose to resist and stay stuck, or we can choose to embrace the change and allow it to transform us. Enjoying what you're hearing? Fantastic! To make sure you're always in the loop with the latest episode, just hit that subscribe button. Your support makes all the difference. And hey, this podcast thrives because of awesome listeners like you. So a big shout out for that. And of course, I'm on Instagram. Find and follow me at Christine_Dang. Lastly, looking for more information on what we discussed today? Just cruise on over to thedangoodshow.com, click on the episode you're curious about, and voila, access to the show notes. Now, without further ado, let's jump back into the show. So, how do we go from fearing change to embracing it? One word: curiosity. Curiosity is a powerful antidote to fear. When we approach change with a sense of curiosity, we shift our focus from what we're losing to what we might gain. Instead of worrying about what could go wrong, we start to wonder what we might discover. But think about it like this. When you were a kid, everything was new and exciting. You didn't know what was around the next corner, but that didn't stop you from running towards it. You were curious, eager to explore, and ready to learn. That childlike curiosity is something we can tap into as adults, especially when we're faced with change. For example, when I was in Korea, I could have spent my time worrying about all the things that could go wrong. But instead, I chose to be curious. I asked questions. I tried new foods. I learned a few basic phrases in Korean, and I embraced the adventure. And you know what? That curiosity not only helped me overcome my fear, but it also made the experience so much richer and more fulfilling. Let's get into some practical tips for how you can start embracing change in your own life. Number 1, acknowledge your fear. The first step is to acknowledge your fear. It's okay to be scared. Change is hard, and it's natural to feel anxious about it. But instead of letting that fear control you, try to understand where it's coming from. What exactly are you afraid of? Once you identify the source of your fear, it becomes easier to address it. Number 2, shift your mindset. Start seeing change as an opportunity rather than a threat. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience help me grow? By shifting your mindset from fear to curiosity, you open yourself to new possibilities. Number 3, take small steps. If a big change feels overwhelming, break it down into smaller, more manageable steps. Focus on what you can control and take one step at a time. Each small step you take will build your confidence and help you navigate the change more effectively. Number 4, stay open and flexible. Change often comes with unexpected twists and turns. Stay open to new experiences and be flexible in your approach. The more adaptable you are, the easier it will be to navigate through change. Number 5, seek support. You don't have to go through change alone. Reach out to friends, families, or a mentor for support. Sometimes, just talking things through with someone you trust can make all the difference. I want to share another personal story that highlights the impact of curiosity on growth. A few years ago, I went through a major life transition that left me feeling lost and unsure of my next steps. I had just left a job that I had been in for years, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. The uncertainty was overwhelming, and I found myself paralyzed by fear. But instead of letting that fear hold me back, I decided to approach the situation with curiosity. I started exploring different career paths, taking online courses, and attending workshops. I tried things that I never would have considered before, simply because I was curious to see where they might lead. And you know what? That curiosity led me to discover new passions and opportunities that I never would have found if I stayed stuck in my fear. It was through that process of exploration and discovery that I eventually found my way to what I'm doing now, hosting this podcast and sharing my journey with all of you. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in my life is the power of saying yes to change. It's easy to say no, to stay in our comfort zone and to avoid the unknown. But every time I said yes to change, whether it was moving to a new city, starting a new job, or traveling to a foreign country, I've grown in ways that I could never have imagined. Saying yes to change doesn't mean that you won't be scared. It doesn't mean that everything will go smoothly. But it does mean that you're open to the possibilities that change can bring. It means that you're willing to take a chance on yourself and trust that you have the strength and resilience to handle whatever comes your way. So the next time you're faced with a change, I encourage you to say yes. Say yes to adventure, say yes to growth, and say yes to the opportunity to discover something new about yourself. Now, let's talk about how you can cultivate a curiosity mindset in your own life. Here are a few strategies that has helped me. Number 1, ask questions. Get in the habit of asking questions. When you're faced with a challenge or new experience, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow? The more you ask questions, the more curious you'll become. Number 2, embrace uncertainty. Instead of fearing the unknown, try to embrace it. See uncertainty as an opportunity for growth and discovery. Remember, the most exciting adventures often happen when we don't know what's going to happen next. Number 3, be open to new experiences. Challenge yourself to try new things, even if they're outside of your comfort zone. The more you expose yourself to new experiences, the more you'll develop a curiosity mindset. And number 4, lastly, practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is a great way to cultivate curiosity. By staying present and fully engaged in the moment, you'll be more open to the possibilities around you. You'll start to notice the little details that you might have missed before, and you'll become more curious about the world around you. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Change is inevitable, but growth is a choice. Every time you are faced with a change, you have the power to choose how you respond. You can choose to resist and stay stuck, or you can choose to embrace the change, be curious, and allow it to transform you. Remember, the changes that scares us the most are often the ones that lead to the greatest growth. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, try to see it as an opportunity for discovery. Be curious, be open, and be willing to say yes to the adventure. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. I hope this episode has inspired you to embrace change and turn your fear into growth. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, leave a review, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And as always, stay curious, stay open, and stay dang good. Much love, C Dang signing out. Thank you for joining us on The Dang Good Show. Remember to swing by our website, thedangoodshow.com, where you can easily subscribe on platforms like Apple, Google, and Spotify to keep up with our latest episodes. Loved what you heard today? A thumbs up and a positive review on your favorite listening platform would be incredibly appreciated. And if our show struck a chord with you, sharing it with just one friend can help our community grow and thrive. Thanks once more for lending your ears to me on The Dang Good Show. Until we meet again, take care and goodbye.